Welcome everyone to a great game between Zeppy as Kislev going up against Bobman as the Ogre Kingdoms. Now we're going to be playing on the Vampire Forests with a Slaughtermaster of the Great Moor going up against a Ice Witch with Ice Magic. So starting here with the wide Ogre Kingdom force, we are going to have a bunch of Noblars here in the front line, backing up against a bunch of Ogre Balls and Ogre Ball dual weapons. The Lord choice today is going to be a Slaughtermaster of the Great Moor, the big bad boy in the frontier with the Blood Cleaver as well as Blood Gruel, so very good healing options for himself. Belly Slapper as well for that -8 melee attack, very strong indeed, and the spells of Troll Guts, Bone Crusher, and then also the extra ingredients. So really wide front line here, also mixing with Noblar Trappers for a bit of Stalk, and the main battle line. So we are going to have the double Iron Blasters, the Chariot Artilleries here in the front. Very good armor piercing options with armor sundering on top, but of course they did get an increase to the cost up to 1,750 per unit. Over here on the right hand side, 2 units of the scrap launchers as well, both coming in counting as chariots. So unfortunately here 4 will be a little bit too much for fruit rules, but this looks to be an open game. Either way, the scrap launcher is going to be throwing all kinds of garbage into the front line, hopefully to disrupt all of the Kislev forces. So 4 artillery chariot pieces, bucket loads of ogres, and then also Noblars. What more can you ask for? For the front line here for Kislev, we are going to have 4 units of the Kossar Spears in the back, making this rather nice arch in the back, supporting with extra Kossars and then armored Kossars in the front. So a very heavy infantry force. We are going to have Little Grom as well, the big bad boy with 530 armor piercing missile strength, and the Lord Choice in the back on horse. Bit of a shame no polar bears here. Of course, bears for the bear gods. I'm a little bit disappointed, but either way, we are going to have Arcane Conduit, as well as the very powerful Heart of Winter, really strong spell up against the Ogre Kingdoms, the Snowflake Pendant, and then also Guardian's Call for that Snow Leopard summon. Moving throughout the force, coming over here to the right hand side, we are going to be having quite a few extra units in the trees. We are going to have the double Snow Leopards, and then in the front we are going to have the double anti-large Warbear Riders and a Patriarch. So the big bad boy is going to be leading the force at the front here. We are going to have the Brazier as well as the Ararai, and then we're also going to have the Courage of Sacrifice. The abilities of the Battle Hymn for that melee attack, and then also Lullaby for some great healing. Think about that basically as a double Earthblood. So both sides looking very, very strong here. We can see they're quite far apart. We're going to have quite a few trees here on the battlefield. Foliage just in the way. We can really hide some sneaky units here, there, and everywhere. Bears going into the forest. The same here coming from the Ogre Kingdoms. Now, of course, on the rule set here, as we are going to be playing, I believe, in a banner rule set, we can't really hide in the trees. So we are going to have to get up and round. And artilleries do count as engaging. So we're going to be firing to the front line, and we'll do lots of damage here up against the Kossars. I do believe the accuracy of the Iron Blasters have been reduced. So trying to hit their targets is going to be a little bit more difficult. But bringing the armor down from 80 down to 50, those silver shields still going to be quite handy, but not really going to help up against the artillery pieces. They're going to fight to the front, but they really need to get some great damage, that's for sure. So an early stage summon, the Snow Leopard is going to charge forward. It does have 100 speed and Frostbite, so we will be able to slow down the very fast Iron Blasters. 66 speed for these bad boys. They could really traverse the battlefield if you allow them. In the middle, we are going to have Warbear Riders, and they will just shred through most of the Ogre Balls. Now, they do have good weapon strength, but we have a 95 armor here for the Warbears, so it's going to be a relatively interesting conquest between the two of them. Noblars charging forward, there'll be a good disruption here for the Warbears if you allow them. Patriarch is going to be needing to stick amongst the Warbears, giving them that melee attack, and healing is very, very powerful indeed. So we do see the summon of the Snow Leopard going out and around the outside. It looks like we're going to come after one of these scrap launchers. Anti-large armor piercing, and the pure speed of the beautiful beast is just going to be doing very, very good work here in the back. You can see it's taking Ogre Balls, dual weapons into the back. It's just really pulling those resources away from Bobman and the Ogre Kingdoms. So we're going to fire with the artillery pieces up against the Warbears. They need to get in the back and start shutting down these artillery pieces. Otherwise, they're going to shut down the Warbears, which are a very key unit. Middle of the armored Kossars and Kossar line going to be firing to the front, doing lots of damage here up against the naked Ogre Balls. These dual weapons will do brilliant when they reach into melee combat, and they've got great speed to traverse across the battlefield. Return fire going to be coming in the back here in the shape of Little Grom. Accuracy very strong, actually getting a bit of a buff there on its DPS compared to the rest of the artillery pieces. So it's going to do rather well here on the battlefield. Already a very good way to shut down most of these artillery pieces. On the left-hand side, we do see the Patriot fighting alongside the double Warbears. Looks like we are going to get Battle Hymn and then also a little bit of armor sundering. So we are going to be shooting here with the artillery pieces in the back, and this is where you can really find your war bears falling down. I think this is a bit of a mistake coming in from Zeppy. He needs to get around the back and start shutting down and compromising these iron blasters. Also, a bit of a mistake here. You see the iron blaster turning away, not firing. It needs to be shooting as much as humanly possible here into the war bear riders. And so we're going to fire in the back here. The snow leopards are going to be compromising their Lord Choice. Very strong stuff here going from Zeppy, really putting the pressure on the Slaughtermaster, forcing lots of winter magic from Troll Guts here to really heal up against the Lord Choice. Ogre Balls coming in the back. They're going to be a great mass tool here to pin up the Snow Leopards. They just need to get out here now and try and find a new target to compromise. Maybe the Iron Blaster could be a good choice. In the middle, most of the infantry is going to be falling. We do see here, unfortunately, we are going to be using Bayard Bard for the Kossar Spears, but bonus large in melee combat. There's not much armor for the Ogre Balls, so they really can quite fight, quite nicely, whether that's going to be in range or in melee combat. They have all the nice bonuses needed to fight up against this monstrous infantry. In the middle, the dual weapons with that bonus as infantry going to do quite nicely up against the Kossar Spears. It's going to be bonus on bonus. It's not really too handy for either side, but still, you can really rack through and do some great damage. You see in the back here the Noblar Scrap Launcher going into melee combat, which is absolutely hilarious. But he's going to be fighting here up against the Kossar Spears. Fire Blood getting activated, which is just 30 seconds of Unbreakable, which is really quite handy here across most of the Kislev front line. In the backside, we still have the Iron Blaster firing quite nicely. We should maybe get the Ice Witch over. If she can compromise that thing into melee combat, it's really going to stop you wrecking through these war bears. Getting away with absolute murder here. Bobman is just going to be slaughtering bears left, right, and centre. But the Patriarch is going to keep them fighting in tip-top shape. And unfortunately, we're not going to be having the Song of Winter Sunlight. So, although here the Snow Leopard is going to be fresh, the war bears are certainly going to be feeling it over time. In the middle, the Snow Leopard here, fighting alongside the War Bear, is going to be taking down the Ogre Balls in pretty quick fashion. They're going to be falling rather quickly, but still firing all these Iron Blasters. We need to do something about this, and they certainly be going for too long. 11 kills here with 16 in the back there from the Iron Blasters. And in the pocket, most of the infantry front line is going to be falling. The Armored Corsairs aren't going to be holding true. Scrap Launchers fighting in the back. They do have bonus with infantry and armor piercing, so they can get in and do some pretty good down work. Corsair Spear is going to be holding the front line and keeping Little Grom firing as much as humanly possible. But we do see here in the pocket, we are going to be getting Heart of Winter. Now that's going to be destroying a lot of the Noblar Scrap Launchers and any other cheap units in the pocket, but there doesn't look like to be much. So unfortunately, a little bit of a waste of magic there, and definitely want to see that overcasted more in the future. That was just a regular cast. Overcasting it for 4 extra wins of magic gives you an extra 50% DPS. Now, the Slaughtermaster of the Great Maw fighting in the middle, he's looking very healthy. The Blood Cleaver is going to keep him in tip-top shape. We did use quite a lot of winds of magic, though, on those Troll Guts. And now we're in the back here with the Snow Leopard. Anti-large, armor piercing will do some brilliant work up against the Slaughtermaster. Extra ingredients has been activated, giving good power recharge rate and reserves. So hopefully we can get in here with some more Troll Guts and start taking down these very, very annoying Snow Leopards. In the middle, the Lord Choice is going to be fighting up against Noblars, taking them down here with the Armoured Corsairs. And in the back, we can see that the Ogre Kingdoms have really been spread quite thin. On that hand side, really damaged Ogre Ball dual weapons. Noblars return to the battlefield, but really not much leadership between them. Over here on the right-hand side, we do have Warbears fighting alongside Snow Leopards up against just regular Ogre Balls. No real kind of leadership or any bonuses around them to keep them fighting. And, nothing really to, deal with all these nice, big, large targets. Noblar Scrap Launchers getting really dragged through the dirt. The Warbear Riders, anti-large armor piercing, are going to be the perfect snipers to take down these big chariot artillery pieces. Now, Noblar Scrap Launchers are going to be fleeing for their lives, and I don't blame them. The Iron Blast is still getting in the back, and it looks like now maybe firing up against the Armoured Corsairs. We do see Little Grom not too much of a threat anymore, and with only 35 speed, not really going to be traversing the battlefield at any sort of speed. So even then, it's going to be mostly anti-infantry armor piercing, and most of the Ogre roster is going to be large. Now, the Noblar Scrap Launcher is still going to be broken. Doesn't look broken to me, but it's going to be traversing around the battlefield, kind of trying to find a place called home. Noblar Scrappers are coming forward, hopefully trying to see if we get some of these trappers on top of the Snow Leopard. Get some slows here for the Warbear Riders. They're kind of really tearing apart the spine of the Ogre Kingdoms at this moment. So 6 minutes 40 seconds into the battle, a little bit of a macro on the battlefield. It looks like that Kislev are going to be taking the lead here. We still have some good range on the battlefield returning. So Kossar Spears here in the back. They still have quite a bit of ammunition. We do see here Noblars chasing off up against the Armoured Corsairs. We do have the Iron Blaster with quite a bit of ammunition. And Kossar Spears here going to be firing up against the Iron Blaster. But 90 armor is going to be rather handy here for sure. In the middle, the War Bears still going to be going relatively strong considering how low they are on HP. We do see here about 700 and then 1,350. The Snow Leopard's looking rather tanky, and so is the Patriarch. A little bit of healing there coming in from Patriarch. Lullaby is going to be even the War Bears going very strong. They do finish off the dual weapons, and the Noblards really aren't going to stand for too long. Now, the Noblard Trappers, still 124 models. They can get in the back here, maybe start shutting down some of the Cossars. I think that would be very cost efficient indeed. Now, we do see the Iron Blaster trying to get away here. Maybe see if he can cycle charge down the side of the Cossars, maybe breaking this infantry unit. But I love the fact here, look at these little wheels. They're just so amazingly crafted here by the Ogres. But it looks like, though, we are going to pull out with Ogre Kingdoms, and Kislev is going to be taking the victory. Very, very fun, silly game here between both of these legends. I really wanted to cast this as it was such an interesting game. I've never seen 4 artillery pieces taken up against Kislev, and it was quite an interesting one. Of course, here, I think it's probably not quite as good as it was shown. I think a lot of the Iron Blasters and Scrap Launchers were just allowed to fire throughout the majority of the battles. Here, 2,950 for the Iron Blaster and 1,450 from the second one. I think there should have been more priority here coming from the Kislev player in Zepi. Definitely on these Iron Blasters. They were the key tool and the only way they were going to take down the beautiful Warbear Riders. Now, we do see the Noblar Scrap Launchers, 466 and 426. These things still kind of garbage. I kind of wish they were better because they're just so goddamn hilarious. The fact that they just throw crap throughout the battlefield. Anything they can find, they just throw it into the face here of most of their foes for sure. Now, Little Grom coming in at 2,000 value as well. That thing was left at the back of the map to kind of do whatever it wanted, really, and just shoot whatever it needed to. The Ice Witch coming in at 980, 616 there for the Patriarch, 650 and 840 for the Warbear Riders, with 960 and 1,300 for the Snow Leopards. Very, very good options. I really like Snow Leopards coming in for 650 gold cost. They nearly always pay for themselves. I've pretty much never cast a game where they didn't pay for themselves. It's very, very rare indeed. But 440, 130 there for the Armoured Cossars, with the Cossar Spears coming in at 260, 430, 550, 680, and then 640 there for the regular Cossars. I think going really wide with Cossars is great up against Ogre Kingdoms, really good as well up against Zinj, especially factions that are very wide, don't have much armor. They can also do quite well up against Slaanesh as well. So very, very good options here. Cossars really are the bane of quite a few Demon and Ogre factions. So the Slaughtermaster of the Great Maw coming in at 330. We saw there nearly 3,000 value for the Iron Blaster, 1.5, 450, 430 there for the Scrap Launchers, 450, 300, and also 733 there. So very good value from the Ogre Ball dual weapons, probably wrapping themselves around some Armoured Cossars. Regular Ogre Balls coming in at 130, 500, 400, and 375 there, with the Scrappers coming in at 550, 250, very good there actually from Noblards, 150 as well, 87, 100, and 250. So Noblards actually doing quite well in this battle. I'm sure they got a lot of value here up against the regular Cossars. So I hope you guys enjoyed this game. If you did, do feel free to smash that like button. Feel free also to leave a comment down below. I'd love to know all your thoughts and opinions, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the growth of the channel. If you haven't already, do check out the description where you can find all my other social media platforms, including that Twitch and that Discord. Other than that, I've been your boy Logic. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all very, very soon.